Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
What is up, fellow summoners, and welcome to the channel today. Happy Friday to you all. You are listening in to my new podcast called The Bottom Line, which shout out again to Omega Mutant for coming up with that name. If you didn't catch the first one that I did last Friday, let me catch you up to speed here. My plan is to produce one of these every single week, which for right now, I'm planning on having it out every single Friday. Now, I say that and need to explain that next Thursday on the 21st, my wife is scheduled to be induced. If we don't have our son before then, she'll be induced that day. So I highly doubt that I will have any time next Thursday, Friday to put one of these together. So next week is probably going to be delayed a little bit. But moving forward, outside of next week, my normal plan will be to have one of these out every single week. And I've got to say, the initial feedback, the comments that I've been receiving have been really positive. I even had several people that were emailing me asking to be a part of the podcast, asking if they could come on. And I was very flattered by that. I will say that I don't necessarily have like any set schedule on when I'm going to bring people on, but that is something that I do want to do at some point. No need to send in any emails, though. I will make it abundantly clear when I'm looking to do that and show you exactly what you need to do. Now, before I get too far into anything, I want to cover, I guess the first segment that I want to do here is called The Week That Was. I want to cover the arena cutoff history for this past week for both Archangel and Falcon, and then also look at cutoff predictions that I want to give for this current arena and the second round of Medusa. I was predicting the Archangel cutoff in the first round was going to be around 5.8 was the number that I was passing out on my live stream. The reason for that is I was expecting to see participation numbers like 140,000 plus people in the pool like we saw for the Dormammu arena, which really helped to keep that score down. And unfortunately, we had good participation, but we did not get close to that 140,000. We were only, I think, just over 135,000. But even saying that, the cutoff was only 6.1. So I was a little bit low on that. Just didn't have the participation that I kind of thought we would see. But the second round, I was predicting him to be around 5.6, which I personally went to 5.8 myself, just to be a little bit over, and I picked him up. Now, I was kind of waiting to put this out, hoping to see the arena cutoff officially what it was, but I haven't seen anybody post that yet. So as of right now, I don't know officially what the cutoff was, but I'm expecting that it was probably around that 5.5, 5.7-ish, somewhere around there, that range. So really, I think a lot of people were freaking out a little bit over the cutoff for the Archangel arena. I saw tons of people doing 7 million plus, some people doing 8 million plus because they were worried about the cutoffs being so high. And I'm going to reiterate, as I've done 1,000 times over the last week and a half, as long as we have good participation, so as long as we see ideally close to 140,000, but at least over 135,000, we really should never have cutoffs that are above that 6.4. I mean, that's kind of worst case scenario. If people are going nuts on the scores and we have low participation, I'm thinking it's probably going to be around 6.4, 6.5. But it seems like for now, the participation has come up a little bit, which has helped lower the scores kind of across the board. So most of these really high-end basic arenas that we're running into, like Dormammu's was at 5, Archangel was on the higher end of that at 6, and then a little bit lower than that in the second round. So somewhere between the 5 to 6 range is where these really sought-after basics are falling, and I think that's a really good number. I think eventually we will see those numbers creep up again as people are able to get these cutoff scores easier and easier by having more 440s, more 550s in their roster. They're doing the same amount of grinding, same amount of fights, but they're getting more points. So that is going to slightly tick up as we move further along into the game, but that's just kind of natural progression. For the time being, I think we can probably put to rest the notion that cutoffs are going to be like 7 mil plus for a while. I think even Iceman's going to be the next big one that people are freaking out about. But I don't expect really for those scores to be even that much higher because it's going to be the same participation, hopefully a little bit more. So regardless of what the people are doing at the top end, the participation at the bottom end is keeping the scores lower. So I'm going to predict right now the Iceman cutoff probably around 6'2", 6'3". For this current arena that we are in, we've got Medusa and Old Man Logan, which let me just say the Old Man Logan cutoff is going to be very, very low. This is a very good round for you to get into if you are newer to the game, if you're trying to build up your roster, even though you may not be using Old Man Logan. He's an easy character to pick up. He'll go for just past milestones, so it's not like you're having to put in tons and tons of time past the milestones to pick him up. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he was below 2. If you really want to get him in the first round and don't miss him, I would say 2.2 is a good number to go to. Black Panther Civil War we just had in the arena, I think he was right around 2, 2-1. I expect the Old Man Logan cutoff to be very, very similar to that, maybe even slightly lower. I really don't think that Old Man Logan is even that bad of a character. I think he kind of falls into the shadow of X-23 and Wolverine, and compared to those two characters, he's not nearly as good. But as a standalone, especially when you have him awakened, the ability to have a permanent regen, especially if fights are longer, if you're just taking chip damage, that's actually really, really good. So I think if you're, like I said, newer to the game, beginner bracket, intermediate bracket, haven't been around that long, trying to build your roster, this is a good one to get into. Put up 2.2, you'll pick him up in both rounds. As for Medusa, this one, Medusa. So if we look at the cutoff history, let me pull it up here real quick. Or not cutoff history, the prestige list. Medusa is currently number 4, which the only characters ahead of her are Green Goblin, Mordo, and then Thanos, which I almost don't even want to throw Thanos in there. You can almost just throw him out. So really, if you look at the roster that's available to everyone, she's number 3, only behind Green Goblin and Mordo, which if you remember, the Green Goblin cutoff was crazy, crazy high the first round just because of the fact that her prestige was so high, which because she's in the top, she's top 4, but basically top 3 if you throw out Thanos. That means anybody who's picking her up, ranking her up, she's going to crack the top prestige list. Is going to affect your overall prestige. So a lot of people are going to be going for her. Green Goblin was 17.1 million in the first round. I feel like Medusa, her prestige is a little bit lower than that. I don't think people are quite as hyped as they were going into that Green Goblin arena. But having said that, I do expect her cutoff to be high. I would suspect that we will see that cutoff, I would say somewhere around the 16.5 range. If you really, really want her in the first round, I would put up 17 just to be on the safe side. But one of the issues is if you're going to pick her up in the first round, she really needs to be awakened. One, to get the prestige, she's going to have to be awakened. And if you really want to use her, she's going to have to be awakened. Her signature ability is one that really makes or breaks the character. She gains all of her Fury stacks by being awakened. Also, the ability to have the automatic blocking, automatic parry. You have to have those Furies up in order for that to happen. So it's a case of if you pick her up in the first round, you're going to have a way to awaken her by either grinding for her in the second round or have some sort of stone to awaken her. So I think because of that, the second round is probably going to stay fairly high as well. We saw a 3 million drop-off in the Green Goblin cutoff from the first to the second round. I don't think that it's going to fall off that much. I think we'll see the cutoff in the first round around 16.5. Cutoff second round right around 15 would be my guess. So if you really want her both rounds, you're going to have to put in some time, which is, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's unfortunate. If she did not have the prestige, her cutoff would not be nearly as high. If you look back at Doc Ock, I mean, Doc Ock's got pretty good prestige, but he's number 7, so he kind of falls outside of that top 5 list. He was at 13 mil, and I feel like he's probably a better character all around than Medusa. And if her prestige would have been a little bit lower, then her cutoff would probably be around that 13, 14 mil mark as well. But that prestige being in the top 5, that always pushes the scores kind of crazy, crazy high. And since I'm on the topic of prestige, and I've got the cutoff, or I've got the prestige list pulled up in front of me here, what is going on with the prestige list? There are 4 cosmics in the top 10. if you include Thanos. There are 4 techs in the top 10, and then there are 2 mystics in Mordo and Voodoo. And out of the top 10, honestly, you've got Spider-Man Stark Enhanced, you have got Dr. Voodoo, and then Doc Ock. I mean, really, those are 3 out of 10 that really make their presence known in the game. I mean, Mordo, yes, on defense, but that's not so important right now with the current state of Alliance War. I just find it funny that these characters that they know, I guess they know, are not really that great. They still manage to create buzz and keep cutoffs and people interested just by throwing prestige on them, which bugs me a little bit. But I think the bigger point I'm trying to make here is we don't see skill, we don't see mutant, we don't see science, and I think it looks like we probably have got Gladiator Hulk coming around soon. Hopefully he will be a skill. Blade is coming out soon, or not a skill, excuse me. Gladiator Hulk hopefully will be a science, and then Blade hopefully will be a skill. I wonder, since we don't have any of that diversity here in the top 10, if those characters won't crack that list. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw both of them make the top 10, so I'm not really that hyped for Medusa. She's kind of a cool character. She doesn't have a lot of utility. We already have a lot of cosmics that do damage. I'm going to hold off picking her up just because I suspect and would guess that we will see skill, science, and hopefully mutant here soon making that top 10. Wouldn't surprise me if they push her down, and my guess would be that they're probably going to be better characters than her. So I'm going to wait out and wait for those characters to come to the game. Fingers crossed that their prestige will be high. Now, the story that has dominated this past week, really it's dominated the MCOC community, the content creators' videos, all the discussions in the live streams, honestly, for the better part of, is it a month? Has it been 3 weeks, a month, something like that? That is 15.0, the Alliance War. And yesterday I put out instead of doing a champ refresh video, I decided to do an Alliance War refresh video. And I really kind of started from the ground up. I scrapped the current system, just kind of changed everything up in a way that I thought would benefit, making it more competitive, making it more compelling, and would produce something that we could play without becoming stale for a lot longer. Now, if you have not seen that video, what I'm about to talk about will make no sense to you. So if you go down to the description of this video here, I will link to that Alliance War refresh. Definitely go watch that. It's not real long. Go watch that. Then you can come back to this, and some of this discussion will make sense. What I wanted to point out were there were a couple of comments where people had some concerns that I think have easy remedies, but I didn't talk about them necessarily. One of the big things that I saw repeated a couple times in the comments was that if you are allowed to send Alliance War challenges, like Alliance War requests, to other alliances within your prestige bracket, in your tiering bracket, I mean, there is an opportunity there for people to contact back and forth beforehand and to set up like 2-star Alliance Wars and to abuse the system that way. And I understand all of that because we saw that in kind of like the very first iteration of Alliance Wars when we were able to like talk before we placed everything. People were going in and making deals like, hey, we're all just going to place 2-star defenders, then place, a 4-star boss, and whoever can kill the boss and least amount of kills is going to win. And that quickly got shut down, and that's why you can't talk to the other alliance once the match is found until after the defensive placement ends and the offensive placement or offensive phase starts. But there's one very easy way to work around this, and that is have a minimum, depending upon what tier you're in, have a minimum defensive rating that you have to meet before you can go ready and send an Alliance War challenge. Let's say, for instance, if you placed all 2-star defenders, it would only be a defensive rating. I have no idea what it would be, but it would be 10,000. Make the rating have to be something that makes sense to where you would have to have all 4-star characters in order to reach it. That way, once you send out your request, that means all 4-star characters are placed. Once the other alliance accepts your request, you can't then go in and change it because the Alliance War is going to start. I think that's a very, very easy way to play around it. Also, another opportunity for abuse would be if you have 2 alliances that are working together, and maybe it's even the same group of people kind of jumping back and forth and controlling. but having one alliance that's sending a request to another, placing the defenders, and then basically forfeiting and giving the other team a loss. What you could do there is you could have a kind of a cooldown period. Like if I send a request and I fight somebody, I cannot send another request to that alliance until I have completed, 5 other alliance wars or 10 other alliance wars or whatever it might be. That way it's going to take, a week and a half, sometimes 2 weeks before you be able to roll back around. And I think that also kind of spreads out the alliance wars, so there's not like just a handful of people that are playing each other back and forth constantly. The other way is you probably could still include a random alliance war search feature, so that if you were ready to go, you had your defensive placed, you're ready to go, you click ready to go, and then you just search random, and anybody else who's also ready to go within your alliance war tiering just randomly pulls up. That way, if you don't necessarily have somebody in particular you're looking to challenge, it can all still be randomized that way. I had a ton of fun putting that alliance war refresh together. I think I still have more ideas, but I think that's really honestly enough for now, especially considering that probably nobody important is going to listen to it. But on that topic, I do want to touch on this real quick. I feel like we kind of have Kabam's ear right now. Like, this kind of reminds me of 12.0 to a little bit lesser degree, but I think their reaction and communication is kind of showing that they are listening, I think, a little bit to what the community has to say. And I only say that because if you really want to make a difference, come up with ideas, send them videos, send them emails. If you agree in part with the video that I put together, tweet it at them, copy the video, send it over, instead of focusing on the negative and what we dislike, because that's already abundantly clear to Kabam. Trust me, I think they realize that the issues that they have. But if we can help by bringing to their attention ideas that we already have put together that make sense, I think it will help to facilitate more quickly. It will help to bridge the gap between what the developers are working on and then what the community would like to see. Because there's just so many, even outside of my ideas, there's way more creative people in the community because I see them all the time. I interact with you guys in the live streams. I see your comments, and it's funny because I'll make a video and I'll think to myself like, okay, like I feel really good about that. I feel like I covered every angle. I'll think about it for a few minutes before I post the video. Okay, like, yeah, I feel really good, I post it. And then like within 5 comments, I'll be like, well, crap, I didn't even think about that somebody mentioned. But I think that is, I guess the point that I'm trying to say is, if we kind of combine our efforts, we combine our brain cells here and our creative abilities, hopefully we will be able to push forward kind of the best of the community. Hopefully Kabam will see that, latch onto that. And really, more than anything, even outside of this current alliance war, being able to change this, if we can have a good interaction between our creativeness as a community and with Kabam in this particular instance, I think that will hopefully open further doors for us as more changes come to the game. I haven't talked about this a lot, but I did apply to the content creator program. And I'm not exactly sure what it is that they're looking to do with us. The way that I read it was, hey, we are going to make available to a select number of people in this content creator program early information that you then can take and reveal to the community. And if that's all it is, I'm going to be slightly disappointed, because honestly, what I'm looking for is like, hey, we have this idea that we want to bring to the community. Why don't you take it? Why don't you think about it? Give us feedback on what you think, good or bad, changes that could be made. Present it to the community, see what they have to say, and kind of help us to mold the direction of the game. Like, that is really what I'm looking for. So it came up last night, I think, in Brian's stream. He had asked if I had applied to it, and yes, I have. I've not heard anything back. I only applied maybe a week ago. I think it might have been last Friday that I put together an email and sent it out. I have no idea if I will be selected. I have no reason to think that I would be. I'm nothing special necessarily, any different than anybody else in the community. So maybe this is all, I don't know, maybe I'm making too big of a deal about this and I won't even make it in. Only time will tell. But yeah, that is kind of my hope. through this entire process is that not just myself, I don't want to be alone, like giving ideas to Kabam. I want to be able to take kind of a platform that they are giving, to open it up to the community, to get feedback from the community, to give my own feedback, to put that together, and then kind of give that back to the developers. And fingers crossed, I'm hoping that that is what the content creator program will turn into. But like I said, only time will tell. But I did want to be transparent. Like, there will never be a time where I am bringing content to the channel solely because I am I'm partnered with somebody, or I have early access to something. They may or may not be paying me. This is all very hypothetical, but I'm just saying there will never be a time that I bring you information that I am not fully behind, just for the reason that I'm being pushed to do so because of whoever is backing me. If that is the type of relationship that I'm required to be in, then I'm not going to be in that kind of relationship. If I am ever bringing content to the channel, regardless of what it is about, just know that it is because I agree with it, I understand it, I'm endorsing it because I'm fully behind it. And honestly, when I started my channel, it was because I really enjoyed the game. Like, I just enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the community that had been built around YouTube. More than anything, I just wanted to be a part of it and help people who were getting into the game. Because I've been playing for over 2 years at that point, and I thought that I've got a lot of information I feel like I could be able to help and bring to those people in the game. So that really has been kind of the base of where I built my channel, and I don't ever want to stray from that, regardless of how small or how big or whatever I get. I really always want to kind of go back to what I originally had started the channel from, regardless of what it is that I'm talking about. I guess I'm being somewhat nostalgic because I am getting close to 10,000 subs, which, I don't know, it's just a testament to how awesome the community is and how supportive. I never dreamed in a million years that I would be anywhere close to 10,000 subs. The channel started at the very end of January, like the last day in January, very beginning there of February, so it's only been, 7 months? It's been a little over half a year. And we're already nearly at 10,000 subs. We hit 1 million views a couple of days ago, and those are numbers that I never thought that I would come anywhere close to. I've said it several times in live streams when I'm talking about this, but my goal for my first year, like 5,000 subs, maybe. Like, I thought that would be a huge goal to hit. I had no experience in any of this, video editing, recording. I mean, none of it. My very first video was terrible looking back at it now. And I've learned, even though they're not great now, but I've learned so much just by making mistakes and by tweaking things and playing with stuff. I've learned so much in 7 months, and you guys have been incredibly supportive the entire time. So I can't thank you enough. As we get close to 10,000 subs, I want to give a big shout out to all of you. I'm sure I will do something special at 10,000 subs to again thank you. But I thought this was a good opportunity. And a good platform to just kind of say give an early thanks to all of you that have been so supportive. Now, having said that, you're going to have to be very patient with me over the next couple of weeks with my son due here in a couple of days. Things will be different. I'm not going to have a whole lot of time here at the beginning to be able to sit down and produce videos kind of every single day like I had been doing for a while. And my live streaming that I do at night, that's probably going to change as well. So if you don't see me as often or for a couple of days, just know I haven't forgotten about you. I'm just trying to work YouTube into my new life and my new schedule, making sure that it fits. But we'll get things rolling again. Don't worry about that. I'm not necessarily going anywhere long term. All right, and I'm almost done. But before I do, I want to cover one more thing. And let me look at my audio. Okay, I was trying to get this video between 25 and 30 minutes. I feel like I have a lot more to say, but I'm trying to kind of give myself a cutoff here to work within before I go too crazy on this thing. But yeah, if you would like to, or if you have, I should say, a particular subject that you would like to have discussed, if you have a question, if you have a comment, You can leave those in the description of this video, or if it is something that maybe is a little bit longer you're going to type out, in the description is my email that I check for MCOC for my YouTube. It's my name, joellinegaming@gmail.com. Again, that is all down in the description, so you can leave that there. I'm not guaranteeing, I don't want to give you any false hope that everything you send to me I'm going to put on the podcast, but I am looking to do a segment where I take a look at the comments, suggestions, whatever it might be, questions that you guys have, and make that a part of the podcast. So we'll take a look at that, keep track of the emails, keep track of the comments, and I will hopefully make that a part of the next podcast that I do, which hopefully will be next week at some point. Might be a little bit earlier, might be a little bit later than Friday, just depending upon how the week goes. But just give me some patience over the next couple of days, as there are some big changes coming to my life. All right, guys, with that, I'm going to head out of here. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Stay safe. If you're going for Medusa, really go hard for her the first time, man. I think their cutoff is going to be high. If we find out that it's a little bit lower than we were expecting, we can make changes for the second round. But you don't want to miss her that first round, because I'm telling you, she's got to be awakened if you're going to be using her in any form. All right, until I see you all in the next one, have an absolutely great day.